Welcome to Stoughton Media Access Cable's Community Forum Show. My name is Steve Kelley. I'll be your host today. And today I have the pleasure of bringing you one of the town's very good volunteers, Dick Fitzgerald. And Dick is the chairman of the Facilities
Master Plan Committee.
Facilities Master Plan Committee.
Townwide.
So Dick, that is a tremendous responsibility. Takes a tremendous amount of work. And I think Stoughton owes you and your committee an incredible debt of gratitude, because I think when people understand more, and that, I think one of the purposes of having you on the show, is so they can understand what you've been doing and why you've been doing it.
Right.
So maybe you could start by telling us, how did the committee form?
The committee started actually back in around 2005. We were in the process of doing ADA studies for all of the buildings, school buildings.
And just to interrupt for a sec, and you get paid millions of dollars to do this, is that right?
Yeah, it's a very beneficial, no pay.
No pay?
It's volunteerism.
Yeah.
It's what Myra Kraft preached, and you see in Gillette Stadium, volunteerism. And this is a group of people who are absolutely a great group of people to work with.
Very dedicated, and you guys, because the way you describe the task, so as a person who owns buildings, I can tell you that the amount of management and the amount of assessment that has to be done so that you can know where your capital needs are going to be, it's a significant undertaking to do that. And here you guys are doing it, no pay, because you feel, tell us why you do it.
Well, I'm born and raised in the town. I served on the Board of Selectmen for 6 years. I've been involved with the town meeting in the town for over 40 years. And when I became involved with the ADA project, after I got off the Board of Selectmen, it started when I was on the Board of Selectmen, but after I got off the Board of Selectmen, I went with the school side of the ADA project. We did.
Would you tell the audience ADA, just for people who don't know?
Americans for Disabilities
Act.
Right. And we had buildings that weren't up to code. We had buildings that weren't acceptable under that, under those provisions. So we had to do a feasibility study. We had to study the buildings. We had to find out what was wrong. We had to find out a way of fixing them. And then to do that, you have to present articles in town meeting. Well, you just can't go to town meeting and say, okay, there are 168 town meeting representatives, 21 for each of the 8 precincts. So you would go to town meeting and you would tell them, look, we need to put a ramp in front of town hall. So people in wheelchair, make it wheelchair accessible for people to get in and out of town hall. Okay, how much is that going to cost? Well, if you give us $100,000, we'll start there, and then we'll come back to you in a couple of years and say we need more. Couldn't do that. You have to go out, and you have to hire engineering firms. And to do that, you have to have, you need a committee, this committee, and you need to go out and do RFPs, which is our request for proposal, and RFQs, request for quotes. You get these together, you send them out, contractors take them, they look at the specifications that are drafted in it, they bid from the specifications, they come back, we take a look at it, we go to you're under prevailing wage, so you have to be, you have to be defined, but we take the best quality along with that. So we get the job done, we sign the contract, we know a number, and we bring it to town meeting to get the money to fund it. Then, I should correct that, we don't sign the contract until we bring it to town meeting. But we have an article that we can draft with a true number. And now instead of the 100,000, we'll give you an example that it might be 155,000. So we go in with a true number.
But it's an accurate number. It's not come back in 2 years.
Accurate number, complete the job. You go to town meeting, you stand up in town meeting floor, the article gets introduced by the moderator. I would get up on town meeting floor, or at the time, the individual that was doing a lot of the work with the ADA project was Peter Barbado. And so we would get up, he would get up, we would get up, and we would pitch this, and town meeting would look at it and say yes or no, and they voted up or down. If they vote for it, town meeting's in first week in May. We finalize everything after that, and come July 1st, we're ready to sign the contract, and we can take off. The project can go out and be started.
So that's
the
how
process.
the committee sort of got started, it got its feet wet, if you would, with the ADA compliance for all town buildings, so that
Town
people
buildings and-
with
yeah, right.
disabilities could enter and exit the buildings.
Right.
So then where did it migrate to from there?
After that, we did a building, it all started with two of the school buildings. First being the high school, and then the second building was the South Elementary School on Ash Street. So what happened was we went in and we looked at these buildings and we said, this was now 2003, 2005. We looked at the buildings and we said, okay, now we have to fix this. So let's get an idea of what it's going to cost to fix, give you an example, the South Elementary. We went in and we saw what we had to do, and the South Elementary School is a rather unique building. It's on Ash Street, just off of Ash Street, and it's built actually on the side of a slope. So it has 5 levels. It's very well maintained, but to go in and make it ADA compliant, enormous amount of work. Excess of $5 million. Now that gets to the point that you have to say, okay, we can put $5 million into the building, but yet we still have a building that was originally built in '58, added an addition put on in '67, and we put $5 million into the building, and the nucleus of it, the base of it, is still an older building. So we left that part, we left that aside, we went to the high school. Now comes the high school in the situation of, okay, what are we going to do? We have the A building. The A building was built in 1925, which, by the way, the year 1925 was a very good year for the town of Stoughton. They built the A building at Stoughton High School. They built the E.A. Jones School, and they built the fire station on Freeman Street. Now, the fire station on Freeman Street, which is
would be
right
this
here.
picture right here.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. That actually, that was in probably 27 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the building. That's the fire station.
Yes.
That would be like 1920. They went into the building in 27. They just celebrated the 90th anniversary of the building.
Yeah, I want to just give a quick shout out that Leo McGowan is working the cameras.
Yes.
And I wondered if Leo could do a little close up of these of these kind of beautiful the equipment here. I think the audience might find this interesting. Can you zero right in on that, Leo?
This is 27.
So in 1927,
27,
these are
yeah.
fire trucks from 1927.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we have one in the Historical Society. I'm not sure if it's this one or this one, but the Historical Society has a truck, and it's under the control of the Stoughton Historical Society.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. So
So getting just quickly back to it, we had to make a decision with the high school. The A building needed an enormous amount of work, and then the high school needed to have the ADA process. So it got to the point that we had to make a decision. We can put money into it, or we can step back and say, what would be the possibility of building new? So at that point in time, we got together, and the superintendent at the time, Tony Sano, and we talked about, let's get a new high school. Let's find out what it would cost. What's the process? What's it going to cost? What's it going to take for us to get a new high school? This was in 2005, 7, in that area. So we applied, we made a call, and we contacted the SBA, which was the School Building Authority in the state. And they said, you want a new building? That's great. You come to us and tell us why. You
Right,
come to us and
so
prove to us you need a new building.
So let me see if I can understand that. And I think you have an illustration as well.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that the state would give you aid provided, and only provided, if you can prove to them that there is a substantial need and a substantial benefit.
Correct.
So
how
did you go about getting that proof?
What we did was, when they came back and told us, as you just stated, we had to get to this point. Okay, so at that point in time, we drafted an article. We're coming back to town meeting now. Because everything you do takes funds, takes money. So we came back to town meeting with an article, and we said, we're going to have to do, the SBA had told us, you need to do a facilities study, facilities of your buildings, and tell us why you think you need a new building. So we drafted an article, it went to town meeting, and it was for a facilities master plan study of the school buildings. And that article was designed and presented to town meeting in 2009. So there was a time period of putting this all together, 7 to 9.
Now, who gave you, there were a number of people on your committee, so maybe we could give a shout out to some of them. And while you're doing that, Leo's got a picture that we're going to put in the back. Leo, can we bring that over and just get that set up as well? And then I think you can get right on set with us, Leo. I don't think anyone's going to worry. So I'd bring it right over and we'll put it right in. And Dick, who do we sort of, as people that are benefiting from all this work, who do we owe a shout out to?
This committee is a very good committee. We have there are 9 members on the committee. We have Justin Alpert, Dan Wheeler, Lou Gito, Paul Jaffoum, who is the facilities person for the town side now. Joel Harding, facilities manager from the school side.
He's working on the high school as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Dr. Margaret Rizzi, the superintendent of schools. Doug Zorn, Maureen Doherty, who's the procurement officer, and myself. Now, some of these have been added, some of them weren't there from the beginning, some of them are from the beginning, most of them from the beginning, but a great group of people to work with. Margaret, a little shout out to Dr. Rizzi. She made, when I went to, before the school committee, to ask when I could go in and present this latest plan to them, she made a comment and said that of the committees that she's been involved with through the years, different school districts along with Stoughton, it's probably one of the best committees she's ever dealt with. We get a lot done.
Yeah.
And just a quick note, when we got to town meeting, we presented the article at town meeting. This is the book.
And just, we'll see if,
This one and this
Leo,
one.
can you zero in on this one first, or get them both? Maybe we'll get them both.
We'll get them both.
All right, there's facilities master
Yeah.
plan, and get yours up there, Dick.
This is the 2010 plan, the original plan that I was
And
just
these
talking about.
have got pages and pages of review,
Yeah.
and very well organized, spreadsheet after spreadsheet, to tell everybody what the costs are, where they will come through. A lot of work goes into this.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of work went into it. So what we did was we went to town meeting, we had drafted an article, we had an idea, a feel for what it would cost. So we put the article in for $200,000 for a facilities master plan review of the town. The goal, the ultimate goal, was to figure out where we had to go, where we had to spend our money, and whom and where we were going to fix first, or what we were going to fix first. High school, South Elementary. 2 buildings that needed drastic work. The article came to town meeting, stood up, we got the article passed, and we started in July of 2009. We got organized, we put out information, we drew up an RFP, request for proposals. We had them all drafted by probably by the end of October. They went out to contractors, architectural firms, engineering firms that wanted to do this and come in. And what they do is these firms specialize in just coming in, take a look at your facilities, study your facilities, tell you what's wrong, tell you what's broken, tell you what needs to be done, and they give you this report. So we went through the bid process. There were 40 firms that took them, which is a sizable number. We received 8 back, and starting in November, we met probably just about, I would say just about every week. This was November of '09. To finalize this, we took the 8, we broke it down, we took 4 off the top that we just wouldn't qualify. Then we broke those 4 that we had, and we called them in for interviews. The 4 came in for interviews, we interviewed them, then we took all the research that we got from the interviews, we broke that down further, and we narrowed it down to the firm that we awarded the contract to, which is Drummy, Rosanna, and Anderson.
And have you been satisfied with their work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They did the initial, they did the second. There was only 2 bidders on the second for this one here this year. The second firm this year was in Connecticut, lower part of Connecticut, Stonington, I believe it was. Not Stonington, further down, Bridgeport area. And DRA, who are in Newton. So you need availability, you need people on site, you need people to come out to site. And even the gentleman from Connecticut said, look, we can't, we're not going to be able to house people up here to go in and see the project. So it was 2 people. DRA received the bid and the process on the new ones.
And now, I understand that the whole idea started with the ADA compliance. It sort of rotated or migrated to schools, but then you also split again, and the work was coming in so well and efficient that you decided then to take on a look at all of the buildings in the town, all the municipal ownership buildings.
When we got to town meeting, and a little prior to that, but when we got to town meeting, it came out and it said, listen, if we're going to spend the money, and this is how town meeting works, which is proper, if we're going to spend this kind of money, why don't we study all the buildings? Well, that's a little more of a curveball to us because we were concentrating on one thing. Our goal was to look at and what we needed to do to finalize and build a building. High school. Okay, we'll look at all the buildings. So we looked at all of the buildings, and as you just showed, that's what this is right here. These here are all the buildings.
And this is a spreadsheet, by the way, and we'll see if we can get Leo back to work. I mean, you won't be able to read the spreadsheet, but perhaps you can get an idea of the detail. It lists all the buildings. It lists a 5-year program of expenditures so that they can be maintained well. So that a lot of work went into this.
That's the one from this year, same thing as it was back here. But this is
an even bigger spreadsheet. Let me have my half.
This is the spreadsheet of all the buildings. This is starting with the buildings. This is half of it. It only goes up here to the Joseph Gibbons School. So it starts here, it goes over the Gibbons School. And they're categorized, the numbers, the coloring categorizes what the deed is. The first is what we call current critical, and then it goes to potentially critical and all color-coded.
So it's trying to help, and I also want to just touch upon for the audience that, so the role of town government is to manage your resources, right? So they've got to do a good job making sure that the resources hold up, that the buildings don't deteriorate.
Right.
And so this is a tremendous undertaking on behalf of the town. I'm still astounded that I guess you'd have to look at it as your legacy for the town, because the energy that you're putting out to develop these fabulous plans, the oversight to get these things done on behalf of the fellow taxpayers is immense.
Well, it's taking the taxpayers' dollars, their tax dollars, and trying to define it in a way to protect it so we're not spending more and more and more. In other words, let's be proactive as opposed to reactive. You can fix a roof when it leaks. You can know that if you have a roof that's out there for 20 years and it has a lifespan of 22, you better fix it now. You better get to it, or whatever it might be. So that's what this does. But getting back to once we got DRA in, we had to get an answer to now the MSBA, Mass School Building Authority. Are you people still interested? Because they don't have a large window. You have 351 cities and towns and school districts that are going in and applying to the state to try to get this money. The state pays you a percentage of the work that you would do if they award this to you. So we had to move fast. This was awarded on December 14, 2009, and we told Carl Frashewski, who is the principal president of DRA, we're under the gun. We need some things done here kind of magically. You've got to come in with a report, full report, no later than April. So you're into, you've got the rest of December, and they were in here immediately, right between Christmas and New Year's, I remember it. And they had crews in all the buildings. They went through every single building. And they put these two reports here, this full report of all the town buildings and the school buildings together by April, and we were able to present it at town meeting. I had to go to town meeting to present it. The moderator kept asking me, where's your report? I said, it's being printed. It's coming. So under Article 2 of our annual town meeting is the acceptance of all reports. You are supposed to have the report there for the opening of town meeting. Howie and I had to have a little conversation. A great guy, love him. And I said, we're going to have it. It'll be here. Trust me, by the time you put the gavel to the table on the last night to accept Article 2, that will be there. It'll be all completed. Okay, all right. We did it. Now that we've got it done, we came to find out that, okay, now we have to go and, once that's done, this committee for this particular phase is removed. Now it goes into, you have to set up, okay, if we're going to do that, let's get this forward for the high school. They come in, they set up another committee, yet another committee, a feasibility study committee, but again, it takes money. So you have to draft an article. The article's drafted for $1 million. Now the $1 million is to study to see what we need to do, how much it's going to take, what needs to be done to build a high school. So everything is money driven and engineer driven, and the consultants have to help us. So that was put together, and then came the SOI for the high school, which is a statement of interest. So you draft this, they draft up the statement of interest, and that committee was headed by Deborah Sauvigny, who was on the school committee. And that committee went forward, and they do up the statement of interest. They get it into the MSBA, and that's when you sit back and say, okay, we've done our legwork. Let's see what they say. Do they accept it? Well, they took our report, and they accepted the SOI for the high school, but the building that really needs more attention than the Stoughton High School is the South Elementary School. Now, you're in a situation that, okay, the larger population is the high school, and the larger use is the high school, but the building with the most need is up on Ash Street. We have to go with the high school. So that building on Ash Street stays as it is. It came through, the SOI came through, we got awarded, and you can now go forward and build your building. That's a whole other committee, which is now the Stoughton High School Building Committee, which I was appointed to. We're meeting today. We meet every 2 Thursdays. And this is the result of the facilities master plan and what the new high school is going to look like. This is a rendition of the new high school. And the architect designer of the high school is DRA. So it rolled. They're familiar with the town, they know what to do. They won the bid on this, and it is, you can go online and see this at stoughtonschools.org, and it is a fantastic building. It's in the ground. The steel will start to go up, and they're doing it, they're working it. But this is a direct result of this here.
So let me just sort of try another branch, because there are people in the town who think that having all new buildings is not a good idea. What do you say to them? I mean, like I think someone approached me and said, well, this is an excuse to spend more money, which is going to affect my taxes. And do you have a counter to that? I mean, do you say, wait a minute, it may in fact be spending money, but if we're going to save money over here, they balance, or what do you have to say?
It's very simple. People approach me all the time, and they say, "Why, we can't afford this." Fitzy, we can't afford to spend another dime out of my pocket to build buildings. And I said, well, it comes out of my pocket too. I understand that. And there isn't anybody that dislikes taxes probably more than me. I don't want to spend more, but you have to. You have to maintain the property. If you don't maintain the property, you're going to pay later on. It's like the Fram commercial. Pay me now, pay me later. I could give you an idea on the fire station. Quick idea on the fire station. In this book right here, the repairs that were needed to the fire station in 2010 were $574,000. I went to the Board of Selectmen, I preached it. 574. You have to do something. You have to draw up articles. You have to bring up articles. Just a counter to that, just stepping back a second. Once this report was done, it was never actually brought to town meeting floor to do it in this manner, but it was assumed that we wanted to do it this manner. We wanted to set up a committee for the school side, and we wanted to set up a committee for the town side. The town has their own committee, the school department would have their own committee, school side would have it. Immediately, Dr. Rizzi said, you people are coming on with the school side. So we got appointed to the school. That's how it's all evolved out. The town never did that. They never set up a committee. So eventually, it got back to the fact that this committee now is going to pick up the town stuff, which was fine. But $574,000 in 2010, I kept telling people, you have to look at it. You have to draw up articles. You have to fix things. And, you know, it got to the point that there were things that needed to be done, roofing and things like that. You could have done that in the third year of the program, planned for it, and had it all set up. No, instead of being proactive, we became reactive. The place had a leak, the roof was done, they go in and patch, whatever. That's minor. The floor in the apparatus bay, that failed twice. We had to put apron covers in. We had to change the apron and everything. So money was expended that didn't need to be expended had it been planned further, but they didn't, and it was reactive instead of proactive. So that $574,000 in 2010, now under the new facilities master plan, is $2.4 million. So again, I tell people, you don't do anything, this is what you're going to pay.
In 7 years, it went up by a factor of 300%?
Almost 300%. Because what happened is we didn't do all of the mechanical. We didn't do mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection under the original study. This was designed to do that. So when you come back to do that, you have to interpret and include inclusive ADA. Now the fire station has ADA included into it. We're looking at a second story. This is just primarily for Freeman Street, but we need an elevator.
And this is in the...
This is in Freeman Street.
Wow.
So, do we need the elevator? Is it a necessity to have the elevator? If we had offices on the second floor, yes. But all the offices for the public to come in and out of are down on Central Street. That has an elevator. So we don't need that. So we could take out of the 2.4, this is the flexibility that we have, we can pull some of that stuff out.
Right.
Not necessary. So the 2.4 might come down to 1.8. But it's still, had we done some more work to it, it might not have been that high.
Maybe there's a doubling factor or something, but it sounds like there's a little bit of apples and oranges because you're including more things in the newer.
Yep.
But, okay.
It goes up.
So, we're a little parched here, so we get a little water.
Yeah. Shouldn't talk so much.
Well, we're actually here to have you talk and tell the town about that. So let's approach this from a different angle, just personally. I mean, you've lived in the town for your whole life.
Yep.
What's it been like to go from being the selectman person who gets to make decisions to the person that gets to recommend decisions?
You end up with a lot of, it's humbling, and you appreciate the position of the Board of Selectmen more as you come to them and have to make presentations because you sat there and you know what they do. You can have differences with people. We can disagree. That's what life is all about. But the end all is we're still on the same plane to go forward and to advance the community, advance the town. We all have that goal. Yeah, it's sometimes difficult, but it's good, and it's a lot of people say, why do you do this? Why do you attend meetings? Why do you go here? Why do you involve so much in the town? And it's quite simple. Some people play golf. Some people run. Obviously not me. but I enjoy getting involved. I enjoy the town. And it comes back to, not to interrupt you, it comes back to, I want to give a shout out on this. It comes back to a gentleman that I had in high school. By the way, my class, the great class of 1970, is going to celebrate their 50th class reunion in the year 2020. That's the year that the first class will graduate from this new high school. I had a teacher.
Wouldn't that be a nice joint celebration that
we're
you
going
might
to try
put
that.
together?
We're going to try that. I've already touched base and made mention to my contact. But I had a teacher in high school, in my freshman year in high school, by the name of Francis Daly. Francis Daly was a trustee of the Stoughton Public Library, which, as you see, we didn't study the library under that first because that was already in the process. Mm-hmm. And we didn't study it here because it's being built. But Francis Daly was a teacher in Stoughton High School. He was my civics teacher. And he was a town meeting member. And he was involved with the town. And he actually brought to the class and kind of instilled in me, get involved with the town. Get involved with the town and help your community. Don't sit back. You want to sit back and you know, throw the eggs, fine, but don't do that. Get up and, you know, prepare the breakfast. Don't let somebody else throw it. And go forward with it. And that instilled in me, and I've never forgotten it. And Fran Daly's has right there at the library, he has a memorial. Fran Daly was a marvelous man. His family is still in town, and he's an ex-POW from the Second World War. High school, I never knew that. I knew that afterwards. But that's what got me started. And I've always done it. I just enjoy it. I don't know. My wife always says, "You don't have a meeting tonight? Don't you have someplace to go?"
Well, tell a little bit about the end user. What does this do for students?
For students, it's absolutely amazing. We have touching base with the high school. Right now in the current high school, if you go into it and you walk through it, we don't have science labs. We don't have science labs that you need to go out and graduate and go on to other professions. We don't have the science labs. Computer labs. Rooms are small. The atmosphere and it's just when the newest part of the building, of this building, was built in 1964 to 65, 66, that's 50 years old. That's the newest part. You go into the A building and you go to the third and fourth floors of the A building, you're walking down the hall and the hall tips. It's just fantastic. The students come out of there, the students that graduate from Stoughton High School are amazing young people. And the faculty that are there are amazing. Same with the South School. The South School is ranked very high. And it's all from the personnel and the students, the personnel and the administration and everything. But this new building will do wonders. I'm in the insurance business. I have people call me. They want to take a look at quoting a piece of property in Stoughton. I'm going to buy a home in Stoughton. I asked one lady, she was calling up from Quincy. I said, you're coming from Quincy? Yeah. I'm thinking, Quincy, you know, you're 2 stops away from getting to downtown on the red line, when it works. But you come to Stoughton,
throw that in.
Yeah, but you're coming to Stoughton, of course, we got the commuter rail, when that works. But the bottom end is, what's the attraction? What's the attraction to bring you to Stoughton? And the answer was, Mr. Fitzgerald, you're building a new high school. I want the best education for my children. This is the attraction. This will help everybody. So yes, it's an expense. It's an expense to build it, of course. But in the long run, there's development, there's people coming into the town, there's property that might have sat vacant or whatever, or in some manner, but they're coming in, they're buying property, they're buying homes, and it all works. It all works. It's all good. But this is good for the education. Up here, these are the first floor, second floor plan, third floor plan. Right now, we have a gym in the old building, in the C building. The capacity, I could be wrong, might be 400, if that. I don't know. Maybe it's a little plus or minus. But you have basketball teams that are playing in that gym for whatever length of time over the past years. And if they get to the tournament, you can't hold a tournament game in that building. The MIAA won't allow it. It's too small. So they redesign it, they come in, and that's going to be the gym. The gym's actually on the second floor. This is the auditorium. This is the second floor gym. And it holds 1,100 people. We'll have tournament games then.
Yep.
Football field was taken down, and that's the field up there. The field is a bowl. But I want to talk, can I?
Yes,
I
please.
want to talk about the fire station. Fire station is the
Sure.
first thing that we're going to be,
Put it right up on top.
the fire station is going to be the first thing that we are going to work on. Talked with the chief yesterday, and we're drafting articles. Paul is drafting some articles. And we'll get them in for this annual town meeting. And this is the building.
Okay.
There was talk of the building, there was talk of former chief Doloff came to me and said, Fitzy, what can we do about the station? We've got to do something about the station. So then there was the idea that, look, we're not putting anything into this building. Let's build new. Okay. So now you would build, this was already on the stove, the high school.
Mm-hmm.
The public safety building, you're talking 30 million plus. So I said, you could draft an article to find out whether you need it or not. In this here, and that over here, the non-school, in the first report, DRA said, listen, you want to do a feasibility study and see whether it's worthwhile to put any money into the building. We did that. And let's go with a new building. So they went to design a new building.
Mm-hmm.
They were pursuing a location off of Park Street, which had been the infamous Line Lumber Road property, but that's under the control of the school department. Owned by the town, but under the control of the school department. You can't put a building up there. I tried to tell people that. Maybe they didn't listen. Maybe they weren't, whatever. Anyhow, it didn't go through. We have a plan for it, but it didn't go through. So now comes the fact of what are we going to do? What can we do with this building? And the building's centrally located. The reason that the people back in 1925 built it where they built it is because it was central to response.
Yeah.
You can get pretty much anywhere in the town right from that building with no problems.
Yeah.
So that when the armory was purchased by the town for $1, it was thought that we could put it up to the armory. But then you've got fire response from North Stoughton going to West Stoughton, Ames Pond, going to West Stoughton towards...
Length of travel was
length of
considerable,
travel.
yeah.
Yeah, it has to be, ISO wants you to have so many, your response time from the time that a box comes in to the time that you pull up in front of it is meted, and they want you there. The insurance industry wants the very same thing. If not, we're going to be charging more. So this is the building. We have to fix it. Now, how do we fix it? Well, we're going to have to go in, draft some articles. We're back to the articles, we're back to the town meeting. Do immediate repairs, get it to the point where it can be habitable, comfortably. And then from there, we put out a bid, we go through the draft process, we have somebody come in, study the building, what can be done, how can it be repaired, how can it be fixed. This is kind of like a passion for me, but the city of Newton has done 3, 4 firehouses in neighborhoods like this, completely done over. So you can do it. It works. The town of Norwood did it with their building. Their building failed on the Ponset Street, and on the Hatton Street rather, and they rebuilt it.
And will it be less money to repair it as existing than it would be to
That's
build
what the
new?
study will tell you.
Okay.
That's what the study's going to tell you. Structurally, That building is very sound structurally. Very sound structurally. Does it need to be polished up? Does the face of it, it doesn't look like this now. If you go by there, there's, needs some TLC, needs some paint, all of this has to be repointed. That's a process. But it's not the end of the world.
Right.
If your structure inside, if your foundation is good enough for you, you can do pretty much anything you have to do with the building. And that building right now has that's the door going in. That would be the door going into the waiting room, dispatch unit. Now the dispatch is all combined down in the police station. And I don't want to get any department head upset with me, but there's plenty of other buildings that need to be attended to. The police station needs a lot of work. And we'll be in touch with Donna. She's a lovely lady. We'll be doing that. So everything will work.
Switching gears with me a little. Philosophically, you seem to have landed, there are basically two, in every town, there are two sort of factions. One is tighten it up, we don't want to spend anymore because, a lot of retirees, for instance, they have no more money, right? They get a standard amount of money, it's not going up.
That's great.
And then there's the group that says progressive, we want to be ahead of the curve. You seem to have landed on that side, that lily pad versus the other one. What do you say to the detractors, to people that vilify you, in fact, and not you personally, but you and those who have landed on this lily pad? What do you say?
It has to be done. I don't have another answer for it. Here's the response. If the buildings fail, the police station, let's switch off of here, let's go to Rose Street. The police station was built in '97. There's parts of that building that are failing. Much failure to the building. They have to be repaired. I don't know what more to tell people, but we have to do it. I understand the expense. I still work. I understand the expense for people on fixed income. But for not doing it, I think I gave the analogy of the fact that if it's $574,000 and 210, it goes to 1.8 or 2.4 million. It's going to constantly keep going up, and at some point in time, it's going to break to the point that you've got no choice. You have no choice but to fix it. It's not that I side with people that want to come in and just spend money. I go to town meeting and I look at it. This committee looks at these reports, looks at this, and studies them. Do we have to do this now? Do we have to do it this year? And just so everybody understands, out of the $50 million that's projected that we have to do for this, we're not, a funny thing happened the other night. How much is this report going to cost, Fitzy? How much to fix the buildings, Fitzy? $50 million. What's your town budget, 105? You're going to spend 50 of it to do the buildings? No. We're not doing all 50. We're telling you what we think you should look at and do.
And breaking it out by the year.
Breaking it out over 7 years, 5 years, 7 years. This is a 5-year plan. This was a 5-year plan. We're in year 7 and still working it. So we're not saying you have to do it every single year. But they have to be fixed. Fortunately for the town, on the school side, along with the MSBA, we have an ARP program, which is an accelerated repair program, through the MSBA. And the MSBA tells you, okay, if you're going to fix your buildings, we'll pay you a percentage of what you fix. We've done roofs on the West School, windows on the West School, windows on the Dawes School, Gibbons School, roofs. We've done $12 million. $12 million in repairs to the school buildings. We've received $6 million back.
So there is a savings.
Yeah, that's the savings that these people on this side want. When we tell them that, I don't see that. It goes back into the general fund. We use it. We're getting the money back. So you save money. We get about 50% back. We did a boiler in the Hanson School. The boilers in the Hanson School wasn't big enough to get in through the ARP program, the repairs. So what happened is when we did the boiler, Joel looks at the boiler. We have to replace it. Have to have heat for the children and everybody in the building. He was able to apply to National Grid Columbia Gas, and out of that total tab, we got 30% back from them in grant money coming back to us. So we saved 30% by using that process. So it all works. There are things in the town that the town can do, and we'll find these. We come across them. And when we get into doing buildings and repairs, Paul's on it. I've told him about it. We do them. We're doing there's a thing in the town of Stoughton, people might know about it. It's the CPC fund, Community Preservation Commission. That's a tax that's put on your annual tax, your real estate tax. And that money gets put into this program. And it's to be used. Part of that money is going to be used on the high school field. $1.2 million, I think, is the number. Went to the CPC meeting last evening because Paul had to go about the cupola at the town hall. That has to be painted. But the windows at the town hall and the windows at Lucius Clapp are all paid for from CPC money, not bonded. We're not going out and borrowing the money. The money was there. John Morton and his committee paid cash. They took the cash, paid for the windows at the Lucius Clapp, and paid for the windows at Town Hall. So these are things that come out of these reports. But you find ways to do it. Now you can't tell people, and people say, well, you're not getting this money for nothing. We paid for it. Correct. But you're using it properly. Right. You know what I mean?
So let me break from this. I'm going to come back to you, and I want to talk about, like, is there such a thing as a percentage that makes sense as a taxable amount? So that, in other words, here you've broken it down into the particulars and the good use of the funds and the preservation of buildings. But I want to take it a little deeper. Before I do that, I want to go to the public service announcements. I also want to thank Roy Cohen. He's out back, executive producer, producing this program. Leo McGowan is smiling at me in the corner over there. He's our cameraman. Dave Young helps us out, and Gina Coe is not here today, but she usually helps. So we'll switch over to the PSAs, and thank you all for watching as well.
Hi, it's Gary LaPierre, and the crew wants to thank Maxie's Delicatessen. That's at 117 Sharon Street in Stoughton. They're 781-341-1662. American Cancer Society, yes, they're looking for volunteers. Drive cancer patients to and from their treatments. 1-800-ACS-6662, or just go to www.cancer.org. Ilsa Mark's Food Pantry in St. Anthony's Free Market, 2 Park Avenue in Stoughton. For more information, call Christine Gallagher. That's at 781-341-0611 or 781-341-0549. Meals on Wheels. Just ask for Jessica. You'll find her at 781-344-8882, extension 2. Stoughton Penny Saver. Our business is advertising your business, they tell us. 27 Rose Glen Street, Stoughton, 781-344-4833. Community Forum showtimes in Stoughton. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., Tuesday at 5 p.m. It's on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 28. All comments and suggestions welcome. Contact us at communityforum1@yahoo.com. Samaritans, they're at 41 West Street on the 4th floor in Boston, 02111. Their phone number is 617-536-2460. 24-hour helplines for Samaritans, and the number is 877-870-HOPE. That's 877-870-4673. Samaritans, you can find them at 800-252-TEEN. That's 252-8336. Or find them online at SamaritansHope.org.
So we're back here in studio. I'm Steve Kelley, and this is Dick Fitzgerald. As I mentioned earlier, he's the chairman of the Facilities Master Plan Committee, and he's generously given the town just an immense amount of hours over a period of 15, 20 years even. And he's come in today to kind of share some of the successes of the Facilities Master Plan. So, and we have up there, if you do want to contact Dick, it's the chairman of the Facilities Master Plan Committee, and it's Richard Fitzgerald and then 51, which Richard W. Fitzgerald 51 at gmail.com. And you can also, to get some information, Dick, how would they get information on the town's website?
You can go right onto the town website, Town of Stoughton website. And you go to the Town of Stoughton website, you go to, there's a bar that's there. You go to boards and commissions, pull that down. You'll go to the letters O through Z, which is the last in a column of 3 groups of letters. Hit on that and you'll come over to the right-hand side. You'll see the 2017 Facilities Master Plan report. It's 404 pages. You can open them up, you can go through it. It'll tell you everything. It'll show you all the graphs and all the everything that you have there that we were talking about. And then right below that is the original 2010 report. So you have both reports, you can look at them, and again, that's what we had to find out, what we need to do.
So I have to tease you a little, Dick.
Yeah.
You're showing your age here when you say hit on that. It's the term is click on that, okay? So we know that we're not quite in the millennial group here.
Guaranteed of that. I am not computer anything. And
All right.
my family can verify that.
Okay.
Trust
and,
me.
Before we
and
go,
my work is John Russell can tell you that too. Definitely doesn't. He's not sharp with a
not
computer.
computer savvy. All right.
No.
So I want to just touch base on some of the local programming points here. So we'd like you to think about watching the Get Fresh, Stoughton's own cooking show. New episodes are coming soon. You can always catch them on Comcast Channel 9, Verizon Channel 28, Monday at 5:30 p.m., Wednesday at 8 p.m., Thursday at 9 a.m., and Friday at 5 p.m. So, and also we'd like you to catch the Hometown Business Show. If you'd like to be on the Hometown Business Show, if you have a small business in town, you can contact Roy Cohen here at the station, and we can come down and interview you, or you can come in and talk to people about your business. So that show airs Tuesdays at 11 a.m., Wednesdays at 5:30, Thursdays at 8 p.m., and Sundays at 7 p.m., just after the football games. Comcast Channel 9, Verizon Channel 28. We also have Monday night bingo at a Harvard Torah congregation, one of the nicest religious groups, congregations. They're at 1179 Central Street in Stoughton. Doors open at 4:30, games start at 6:30. Come down there, have a great time. They do a great job down there. And we're back in studio. So, Dick, I wanted to just touch on a part of, as a taxpayer, we have to kind of find a limit to taxes. So there's a real tough balance that we have. Do we ever see, do you think we'll ever see a percentage limit where you say, look, we're going to give you X amount of dollars, and you're going to have to figure out, I don't care about how many buildings you have. I don't care about the problems. I don't care about your staff. There's the money. You're going to have, let's say you have property value of $1 billion in a town. I don't know what the number is, but, and you're going to get essentially 20%, $200 million, and you got to make it last. Mm-hmm. And does that fly in the face of kind of the work you're doing?
In some regards, yes. You have to first know, that's a very easy concept. It's a good concept to look at. If we knew that we have, you have $20 million to use, then we would make $20 million go just to the projects. That's it. And we would take whatever the breakdown is, this breakdown here, and we might say, okay, in the first year we're not going to do this. We're not going to do something because we don't have that money. We won't have that money at the end. We have $50 million that's needed, but you're only going to get $20 million. Then we've got to go back and we've got to pull things out. And we've got to prioritize them. In other words, if it's critical and it's health and safety, those have to be done. Those are up front, those have to be done. The 1.4 million that we're looking for this year between all of the buildings on the town site that will be going in for an article are health and safety. Those are mandatories. Those are things that this company, DRA, was paid money for to tell us, what do you have to do right now? That's it. In the second year, it goes up. Third year, it goes up. Do we have to do everything? Again, no. Because we know as a committee, we can't come in and say to the town, we need $50 million. We're not going to get that.
Right.
But we can prove and prioritize and say, this is what needs to be done. Town meeting has always been good to us. As long as you can come in, tell us what you need, and we'll do it. Again, it's living, as you said, we're living to a cap. We're not getting to that point.
Yeah, when you say they've been good to us, they really mean good to themselves in a way, right?
They've been good to themselves because they're ratepayers, we're taxpayers.
Yeah.
But they're good to this committee because when the committee takes the time, puts an article together, presents the article at town meeting, they're receptive to it. You know, I mean, we did, real fast, the article that we put in to do this study, we asked for $200,000. This article was for $200,000 7 years ago. This article came in from $200,000. We got this full report for $132,000.
Wow.
We saved $68,000.
Right, and that puts you in a good place.
We came back to do this article. I thought I was in a good place. I thought it was okay. I presented it on the floor, $200,000, an upgrade. As I said, mechanical engineering, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire prevention, and made the presentation. Explained to everyone that we got 50% back on the return for our repairs on the schools.
Yes.
$12 million. We got $6 million back, and it passed like 92 to 28. And I actually went home that night and I said, 28 people didn't like what we've done. And it kind of hits you and said, do I have to do a better job? I'm saving 50%? I don't know. But it was just, again, you have, and it's in town meeting, you have people that, doesn't matter. You know, I'm not spending another dime. I don't care. Just a week ago, a guy came up to me and said, I was talking to somebody and said, Fitzy just wants more money wants the Board of Selectmen to give him more money to do his buildings. His buildings? I didn't know I owned all this property.
Well, on that note, there's a good bit of a humor.
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much for coming in, sharing great photos,
Thanks
great
for having us.
information,
Yep.
and the kind of earnest work you guys have done. Well, I think we all
Great
want to
crew.
thank you and your group
Yep.
for all of your volunteers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate
Thanks. And I want to shout out to Leo McGowan, Roy Cohen, and Dave Young for helping produce the show.